From MTN News, this is Montana This Morning.
Lawmakers and law enforcement working to reconnect police with dispatch in Hardin.
There was a few weeks that we had no calls for service at all, and we were here and available to assist.
Plus, Billings farmers adjust to new organic guidelines.
We have a good product that can make the system work, or do we need to chase that label?
And the Montana legislature continues work on the governor's tax proposals ahead of tonight's State of the State address. Good morning and welcome to Montana This Morning on this Wednesday, January 25th. Lots to get to this morning, but we begin with a shocking update on drug overdoses in Montana. Fentanyl is doing more damage than ever, killing 8 Montanans in a 10-day period. Since January 11th, there have been at least 28 opioid-related overdoses. Yellowstone County is not immune, one of the 13 counties to experience an increase. The Montana Department of Justice is urging people to not use any pill or prescription drug that you have not been prescribed. And an update this morning, dialing 911 in Hardin doesn't connect callers with the city's new police department. This is a problem now being addressed in the state legislature. Q2's Jackie Coffin has more.
Here at the Hardin Police Department, officers are getting nearly 500 calls for service a month. But if you're calling 911, that call actually doesn't reach them immediately. It's a discrepancy with dispatch.
This was really bad.
On July 16th, a dust storm swept across I-90 north of Hardin,
I want to get off the road.
causing a 21-car pileup that killed 6 people. But Hardin's police department did not get a call to respond.
We didn't know anything about it, and we were here and available to assist.
The problems all started about 4 months prior when all calls from Bighorn County Dispatch stopped being forwarded to Hardin's newly established police force. A big twist in a feud that had developed between the police department and county commissioners.
It was in reference to an officer that was responded to a call for service, and it was an incident that he made an arrest, and then the county attorney filed charges against the officer, who were ultimately dismissed by a judge from Kalispell.
Dispatch stopped forwarding calls to police, instead dispatching sheriff's deputies and other law enforcement.
The county attorney decided to disrupt the dispatching services through the sheriff's office with us. They discontinued dispatching the City of Hardin Police Department. There was a few weeks that we had no calls for service at all.
All legal, according to Hardin City Attorney Jordan Knutson, because of a loophole, one he now hopes to change.
I don't think we want to get rid of our private dispatch, but hopefully with this new bill and the cooperation of the Sheriff's Office and the dispatch, they will transfer and relay 911 calls in the city limits to the Hardin Police.
And Police Chief Donald Babin is hopeful. He says the ongoing feud with Bighorn County has started to thaw now that the new sheriff, Daryl King, has taken the reins. King tells MTN, bill or no bill, it's a problem they want to fix.
As a law enforcement agency in a small town with the sheriff's department, we need to work together. And ultimately, our main goal is to provide quality police services for the community.
In Hardin, Jackie Coffin, MTN News.
We're going to take you to a live look over damage in Texas, where residents are cleaning up after widespread tornadoes. Let's take a look. This is the Houston area, where at least one tornado cut a path through the community of Pasadena. Crumbling structures, what you're looking at right now. This is a gym that was destroyed. Also, they're reporting power lines down. No deaths reported at this time. Look at all of that. You know, the thing covering tornadoes that always shocked me was just how chaotic the damage is. Like you'll have like an item, like an object sitting on a counter that isn't moved next to something that's totally smashed.
Completely obliterated, yeah.
Doesn't make any sense looking at it. But again, this is a storm expected to move east and thrash several states along the Gulf Coast. You're looking at live footage of a gym and surrounding buildings destroyed last night.
Yeah, well, it's good news that so far we haven't heard of any fatalities. So that's good news.
Yeah,
bright,
great news there.
Yeah.
So
all right,
dangerous.
For us, we're looking for a storm, but not a severe, nasty storm with tornadoes. How about a good bit of snow possible heading our way and maybe some gusty winds? Now, it's not happening this morning, even though we could see some flurries still here in Billings. Our big story is how warm it's going to stay the next couple of days. Tomorrow, our warmest day, warmer than that 39 we hit yesterday, just a few degrees above the norm. Overnight low, a good 9 degrees above average, got down only to about 27. It was windy yesterday. Top gust near 40. Still breezy today. We get to tomorrow from the foothills to Billings over to the eastern side of the state. Down around Cody, we could see gusts 30, 40, 50 miles an hour tomorrow. out ahead of a very strong storm that's going to be coming in Friday and Saturday. So yesterday, for the most part, pretty dry day. That's adding to our moisture total woes. We're still in the hole for the month. Snow totals in the hole for the month and for the season. But we could see some changes Friday, Saturday, as we may see a good bit of snow heading our direction. 31 right now at the airport, feels like 21. Winds out of the northwest at about 14. Temperatures across the area, 20s and 30s. Highs today, 30s and 40s. Still a chance to see some snow, especially in the southeast. That should taper off as we go along today with some clouds. Tomorrow, our warmest day, so we could see some rain instead of snow. And then Old Man Winter says hello as we get into Friday, Saturday. Get ready, maybe a gut punch heading our way. We'll take a look coming up.
And we'll finally kind of start to have a winter season that we
start
really
to,
haven't seen since December.
We've been very, very lucky so far. But what I've always been saying this, as we get into February, I think things are really going to start to turn for us. And so far, the models seem to indicate that. So we'll take a look coming up.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Miller. All right. And a Billings business owner will represent House District 50 in the Montana legislature. Nara Hastings is taking over for Mallory Stromswold, who stepped down nearly 2 weeks ago. Q2's David J. tells us why Yellowstone County commissioners believe Hastings is right for the job.
Candidates went through interviews on Monday, and on Tuesday, Yellowstone County commissioners picked a new person to represent people here in House District 50. Right after the meeting, that new representative headed to Helena. Election day has come and gone, and the 2023 legislative session is underway. But on Tuesday, Yellowstone County's newest legislator, Nara Hastings, was sworn in to serve in the Montana House of Representatives.
I, Nara Hastings,
do solemnly swear.
Vacancy in House District 50 was unexpected and happened after 21-year-old Mallory Stromswold, Montana's youngest lawmaker, stepped down after saying the pressures of school and party politics became too much.
It came from more places than just within the building. I was actually sent a Rhino of the Year award, and they were offering money for people to primary me, and then it goes deeper into the face-to-face.
After Stromswold's resignation, the Yellowstone County Republican Central Committee submitted 3 names to the commissioners: Hastings, a businesswoman, Anthony Nicastro, an attorney, and Dennis Pittman, who served as a Yellowstone County commissioner and as a Billings City Council member.
Great candidates, and it was a tough decision.
Commissioner Don Jones moved to consider Nicastro, but Commissioners John Oslin and Mark Morris, who voted by proxy, voted no. And then they all voted for Hastings.
And we have a unanimous vote. And Nara, congratulations.
I was just kind of impressed with the fact that ag and energy were at the forefront of her thought process.
I think they want you to start right away.
Hastings then left for Helena, and Oslin says it's an important role for the commissioners to choose a representative for the voters.
Any one of them would have been an asset up there in the legislature. I believe we selected someone who can go out and who is willing to campaign and work hard.
In Billings, David J., MTN News.
And happening tonight, Governor Greg Gianforte delivers his second State of the State address. You can watch the entire event live on the Q2 streaming app. We're expecting the governor to spend some time talking about tax cuts in tonight's speech. But as MTN's Jonathan Iberian reports, some of Gianforte's tax relief proposals are going through some changes.
Both the Republican governor and the Republican majority in the Montana legislature have identified tax relief as one of their top priorities. But as lawmakers begin hearing tax bills, some differences have emerged in exactly how they want to give money back to taxpayers. One of Governor Greg Gianforte's main priorities is a property tax rebate. House Bill 222 initially proposed up to $1,000 each of the next 2 years. Last Wednesday, the House Taxation Committee tabled the bill. They then revived it the next day and amended it to cut the rebate to $500 each year. House Majority Leader Sue Vinton, a Republican from Billings, made the initial motion to table.
Tabling a bill during the legislative process is something that is utilized for a number of reasons. In this case, we just needed a little more time to discuss this complex bill, and we took 24 hours and brought the bill back, had a great discussion, and passed it out.
She says Republican lawmakers cut the rebate to use some of the money for an income tax rebate, something many in the caucus had called for as early as last year.
But this is just a start, and we certainly will look for legislation to continue our efforts going forward.
HB 222 is now one of several major bills that have made their way to the Appropriations Committee, the House's main budget panel. One includes both income tax and property tax rebates, and another would put millions of state surplus dollars toward paying off Montana's debts. It's expected the committee will start coordinating the competing proposals and advance a set of bills to the House floor in the coming days. Also in appropriations is a Democratic proposal for property tax relief. Different because it would be targeted based on household income, and it would also provide money for renters. Though they're in the minority, Democratic leaders say they hope their ideas will be part of the conversation as tax proposals start moving forward.
Our approach on tax policy is to get relief to the folks who need it. Any proposal that comes out of the Appropriations Committee, we're going to assess with those values in mind. Who's benefiting, and is it helping the folks that need the help the most?
Another big tax bill supported by the governor would lower the state's top income tax rate and expand the earned income tax credit. That bill isn't part of these current discussions because it's currently making its way through the Senate instead of the House. In Helena, Jonathan Amberian, MTN News.
And in national headlines this morning, a new twist on the classified documents saga we've been following out of D.C. Materials marked classified were found at former Vice President Mike Pence's private home. This discovery made, according to Pence's lawyers, during a sweep of his property out of an abundance of caution. Pence's legal team says these documents were inadvertently boxed and transported there. But once found, they were placed in a safe until FBI agents came to the Indiana residence a few days later to collect them. Current Vice President Kamala Harris will travel to Monterey Park, California today in the wake of a mass shooting. 11 people celebrating Lunar New Year at a dance studio were shot and killed Saturday night. Harris plans to visit the memorial and meet with victims' families. This was one of 3 mass shootings in the state since the weekend. And now, following a story we first brought you last week on Montana This Morning, the U.S. Ag Department is tightening the rules on organic farming and labeling. Q2's Phil Van Pelt spoke with one local producer who believes these regulations aren't worth the potential benefits being organic can provide.
I'm here at Swanky Roots, and everything about this business screams organic. It looks and feels the part, but it's not because of one small detail. And as rules continue to change, it might make that even harder.
The key is that we have to have air constantly being bubbled through the water.
At Swanky Roots west of Billings, the face of farming looks a little different. Most produce farms don't include 1,200-gallon tanks of carp, but this farm is embracing a new approach to one of Montana's oldest industries.
When we were starting and looking into organic certifications, it really came down to kind of like, what is the meaning behind the label?
This farm isn't growing organic food, at least not by definition, but they know firsthand how new changes being rolled out by the USDA will affect organic farmers all across Montana. Starting this March, new rules will require labels to list every ingredient that qualifies as organic, as well as more rigorous on-site inspections of certified operations.
It's not an easy process. Every time you change rules, it's a whole nother trying to relearn, or what do I have to do different?
Evenson and her staff can't label their food as organic, believe it or not, because of the food they feed their fish. That food isn't organic, and the farm uses the waste from the fish to feed their plants. Regardless, she sells her produce to stores all across Billings, but misses out on potentially organic-only customer bases because of a small technicality.
How do we define organic? Because we're still using good practices in here. We're still using beneficial microbes, which is what you want in a healthy soil. We just have different surfaces for them to live on, and it's in water instead of the soil.
But despite strict rules, organic farming is on the rise here in the Treasure State. According to data from a 2019 Commodity.com study, there were 208 organic farms in Montana, representing nearly 356,000 acres. A growing segment of the industry that's closely watching these new changes from the USDA, as organic farming continues to evolve in the face of new challenges.
We have a good product that can make the system work, or do we need to chase that label? But if I'm going to do that, then I'm going to have to increase my prices to make up the difference.
In Billings, Phil Van Pelt, MTN News.